Time to empower, educate, and encourage all women to motivate you through whatever you've been going through. We can talk about it. We ain't passing no judgment. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. Tune into your lane talk show. It makes us feel good just to know we're not alone. No more we've been isolated and cast aside. I want you to come out the dark. Just don't be afraid of your heart. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. It's your Lane Talk Show with Coach Trish Hannah.
I ready to rush. I ready. Hello. Welcome everyone to your Lane Talk Show with your coach Trish Hannah. The energy is real. It's real. We're broadcasting live from the beautiful Nassau, Bahamas. A little windy today. Yeah, a little windy. And the weather is about 75 degrees or so, maybe a little less now because the sun gone down or whatever have you. But today was still a little hot. Even though it's a little hot, it's windy and hot at the same time. That makes sense? I don't know. But I want to welcome you to your Lane Talk Show. For our first time listeners, we want to welcome you to the show. Your Lane Talk Show was created to educate, empower, and encourage women of all ages. And I say this time and time again, thank you to the male audience that listen and tune in. Look, I know how it is. I know I always hearing from you all. And even for those who, there's a gentleman that says, I don't really listen like that, but my wife listens. But sometimes when the topic juicy, I try to go over a little bit to hear what the subject is and what y'all talking about. And so to you, sir, thank you. I'm always getting pulled out on the side or in church or wherever I am to say, as a male, it makes me feel a little bit better when males come and say, look, I know this is a women's show, but you're really impactful. And so I'm thankful for that. Thank you for my men that are tuning in. And guess what? With this particular show, this is for everyone to listen to today, to be honest. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, but let me just reflect. Let's reflect about the amazing time we had last week with Pastor Kevin as we discussed the spiritual implications of pornography. Dun, dun, dun. Listen, we know that this is a taboo topic. A lot of people struggle with this addiction, but are afraid to actually talk about it. You don't hear much about that in church, right? Nobody really needs to be talking about those type of things. What? You could say something like that. But yes, we have believers, people who attend church, we have pastors and all that say, yes, I do have an issue with pornography, whether it be magazines or just flipping through my phone. There's a thing called, I feel bad because I have my past principal here, my former principal, but there's this thing called Titty Tuesdays. Yeah, I said it. Titty Tuesdays that goes out to most males in the Bahamas phones. We need to stop it. We need to ban it in the name. All right. But yes, these things do exist. For those who don't know, women, if you don't know, go check. If you don't believe me. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, it's time. I'm trying to cut my talking as short as possible because I'm excited about today's show. It's time to share the page and tag some people today because we're going to delve deep into the heart of culture. We're going to celebrate diversity. We're amplify the voices that make a difference in this country. Today's episode is a celebration of resilience, creativity, and empowerment as we shine a spotlight on the incredible women who stand at the forefront of one of the Bahamas' most vibrant cultural expressions. What is it? JUNKANOO! All right. And I stay late. I know. All right. In the rhythm of our 700 islands and keys, JUNKANOO comes alive echoing the sounds of the Bahamian people. And while often seen as a parade of color and sound, there's a dynamic force behind the scenes: Bahamian women. All right. Today, we embark on a journey to unveil some of their invaluable contributions, exploring the roles they play, the challenges they've overcome, and the cultural impact they've etched into the very fabric of the Bahamas. Our guests today are true pioneers, embodying the spirit of Junkanoo, not just as a celebration, but as a catalyst for empowerment. They are leaders, they are artists, they are cultural custodians, and we're honored to have them share their insights, experiences, and visions for the future. So buckle up, y'all, because we're getting ready to have a Junkanoo festival in here. All right, in this studio, we're going to be enlightening and inspiring. We're going to have actually enlightening and inspiring conversations. As we uncover the stories of empowerment and cultural pride, we're going to explore the intricate tapestry of Junkanoo throughout the lens of some of our beautiful Bahamian women who breathe life into this living art form. So I need you to call someone and tell them to tune in to Star 106.5 FM, channel 976 on cable, or log on to Facebook on Your Lane Life Coaching Facebook page so you can see their beautiful faces. Because yes, we are live. And listen, I need y'all to blast the radio while y'all in the shack. So if you're shacking, y'all better shack good, and y'all better listen to your leaders because they on here. All right, get the kids next to the radio too, because you can't have them pacing and dancing on Bay Street and they don't know the true meaning of why they're doing it. They need to know their culture. All right, that's what we're doing today. So my predictions for today's episode, I would say 90% aha moments. I don't think we crying today. So 0% teardrops, but 10% laughter because y'all funny. They little funny. I want to hear some stories. I'm excited. We're going to have fun in the studio today. And so today's show is entitled Empowering Bahamian Women in Junkanoo, Unveiling Their Role, Contributions, and Cultural Impact. And this is episode 81. And this show is brought to you by Airborne Freight and Cargo Services, John Shoe Store and Accessories, Your Lane Life Coaching, Bahama Odds and Ends Party Supplies, and Tylenol Cold and Flu, distributed by Lowe's Wholesale. Introducing Tylenol Cold and Flu, your trusted companion during the cold and flu season. Tylenol makes you feel better, gives you relief from the cold, flu, pain, fever, and sinus. Tylenol makes the whole family feel better and is distributed by Lowe's Wholesale Limited. You can go to any of the Lowe's location and purchase Tylenol Cold and Flu today. Watch this. Hey. That's all I can do. All right, because I'm ready to introduce our guest because we're ready to talk Junkanoo. All right, now first guest. Let me see who I can start here and work my way. I got to use my former principal. That's the last, and there's a reason for that. All right. So my first guest is Kishlane Smith. She is a passionate Junkanooer who was elevated by the Cabinet of the Bahamas via successful government to become the first female co-chairperson of the National Junkanoo Committee, and now serves in the capacity as the deputy co-chairperson of the National Junkanoo Committee and a member of the UNESCO. Did I say that right? UNESCO. Oh, we missed an S here. UNESCO Encryption Committee to safeguard Junkanoo in the Bahamas. She is an active member of the Valley Boys Junkanoo organization and a former executive of the Junkanoo Corporation, New Providence Limited. My next guest is Christina Fernanda, aka Muffin. I need to ask her what Muffin means. Who are y'all guys calling her Muffin? I can't wait to hear the story. She is the chairman of the One Family since 2016, first female leader of an A category group in the Bahamas, employed at the Ministry of Social Services Disability Commission, Employee of the Year 2023-2024. Got you, ma'am. Got you. Received honorable mention in the King's Address of the Bahamas Independence 2023. Man, she doing things. Junkanoo Hall of Fame inductee, Independence Achievement inductee, and proud single mother. If you don't put a proud single mother in there, then you ain't saying that. All right. Now, I ain't gonna lie.
Drum roll, please.
I my song, what they call it, when you curry favor, what they say? Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Only because I came from the land of the giants where she was. All right, the principal and y'all know the school because there's only one giant in the school, right? In our school system, and so I little curry favor, right? Don't y'all ain't hating on me, right? Okay, good. All right, so listen. Normally, I ain't gonna lie. Normally, when I ask people to send their bios, I would have 2, 3, 10 pages of their bios. And Lord Jesus, okay, I can take this one and I can take this one out and I can bring this one here. Let me read y'all exactly. I'm putting nothing on and I ain't adding nothing and I ain't taking nothing away. Let me tell you exactly what Mrs. Arlene Nash Ferguson sent to me. Mm-hmm. Mrs. Arlene Nash Ferguson is a Bahamian by birth, a teacher by profession, a Junkanoo by profession, by passion, and a child of God by inheritance.
Amen.
Bam!
Amen.
Take that. Because if I were to actually read all the accolades and all of her bio, child, we could be all day.
Yeah.
So we ain't do that. So in all her modesty, we know how she is and who she is and what all she's done and how she's impacted this country, right? So we can leave that alone.
And she's
just
also a member of the inscription committee of UNESCO.
Okay.
Put that
No, she didn't put that in because she's a Bahamian by birth, a teacher by profession, a Junkanoo by passion, and a child of God by inheritance.
Amen.
That's it, and that's all.
That's
it. All right. So welcome, ladies, to your Lane Talk Show. How are you?
Wonderful. Good evening.
I'm excited to have y'all on board. Yes, ma'am. We're excited. We're excited to learn. We're excited to grow. And we're excited to hear about our culture and what is to come. All right. And just before I do, let me tell y'all something. I try to see if I want to make sure I say her name right because I will cut her short. Listen to me, Miss Angelique McKay. She had a prior engagement for today, but I miss and ask her if she can come to the show. And she everything about her but Junkanoo. She said everything but Junkanoo. Where she been to Africa, where she do this, or where she do that. Listen, if her name ain't Junkanoo, I ain't named Trishawn. Because I bet you if you could say Junkanoo, she say, hey, that's me. Listen, when I say excitement, I know it would have been beautiful to have on the show as well. Especially, I mean, she don't know me from Jabim, but she was talking to me like I was a part of her crew, and I knew exactly what she was talking about. All right, but unfortunately, she was unable to come. So I just want to salute her, in her absence, and I'm sure she's gonna listen to this at some point, because this will be posted on YouTube as well. All right, so Angelique McKay, in your absence, thank you for all you've done for this country and your passion for our culture. Now, ladies, for those who may be listening, my international listeners, all right, that may not know what Junkanoo is and what it entails. I want each of you, just about a minute or so each, just explain to the people what is Junkanoo to you. Who we starting?
Oh, well, Junkanoo to me, I am Junkanoo. Junkanoo is the eloquence, the passion, the spirit, the vibrating, pulsating beat, and Junkanoo is me. So the best way to describe it is that spirit that you feel when you hear the rhythmic passion of the drums. When you feel that spirit embodied through all of your body, something is going on. You cannot hear a drum beat roll over and your feet aren't moving. You cannot hear. Listen, when them whistles start, them cowbells start shaking, and that drum, the back line to me is the best of Junkanoo. Junkanoo is where we feel this bodied expression to show ourselves who we are when we are in our ultra ego. Like me, I'm somebody completely different. When you see my eyelashes on, combine. Listen. You lucky I didn't put them on today. But when I put on my eyelashes and my costume, that is a part of Junkanoo. But then Junkanoo also is that spirit. And then we learn about the other portions of Junkanoo, like the administration and the background. But Junkanoo is me.
I love it.
My friend on my right, your principal, I come to get me. That's Junkanoo.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having all of us. It's just wonderful to be here, and we feel your excitement and your enthusiasm. So the room is just buzzing. Yes, but it is very difficult to articulate what Junkanoo is. For me, Junkanoo is the spirit of the people of the Bahamas.
Mm.
It started as resistance to slavery, and it speaks of a remarkable people who were able to celebrate even in the most horrendous circumstances known to man. And so when, as Kishlane said, when you see us move to that drum beat, that is not a decision that we made. It is an involuntary reaction to our history and our heritage and who we is.
Yes.
And so,
That's
yeah,
us.
this me now. And so, and as Kish said, she is absolutely right. We just become different. And in the African tradition, you never wear your regalia again. And we just never wear those costumes again. It's not the same. It's almost like a wedding dress.
Wow.
That it's made for a special occasion. And when that occasion is finished, that's it. And so it's really hard to articulate, but for me, it's the history and it's the heritage and it's why it started and who started it. And so we are tradition bearers. That's what we are. We are not just out there to rush. We definitely ain't out there to entertain anybody. That's just not me. I'm not out there to perform. I am out there for self-expression.
Wow,
whether you
I
are
love
out
that.
there watching me or not, I'm going to be there. And so, yeah, that's the best I could do.
Wonderful.
So, competition aside, okay, picture this: the beat of the goatskin drums,
Yes.
coupled with the ringing of the cowbells, mixed along with the melodious sound of the horns.
Yes.
Black horns, horns,
Conch shells.
conch shells, whistles.
Yes. And shouting.
She told me put the mic on. I push it.
Bay Street then comes to life
Oh.
Yes.
with a colorful expression called JUNKANOO,
Amen.
where we parade in costumes, invoking
Yes.
our African ancestors.
Yes.
But what puts the icing on the cake
Mhm.
are the spectators that cheer us on, because it adds another level of spirit to us. And we do the performance. And then bam, it's all over.
Mhm.
And then we wait.
And then
until
we
the next
wait.
time.
And a week later, tired as we may be,
Appropriate.
trained,
We back.
lifeless, we are back again.
Let's go.
Because that adrenaline rush that pumps through you,
Mhm.
there's nothing else in the world better than
Amen.
JUNKANOO,
Yes.
the greatest show on earth.
Indeed.
Oh,
No, that's muffins. That's it. That's it.
Y'all got
Amen.
it.
Greatest show.
You get it. You get it.
Bar none.
Bar
Any
none.
festival,
That's it.
bar none.
Oh,
We
yeah.
are the greatest.
Oh, yeah.
I love
Greatest.
it.
There's
Oh, yeah.
nothing
I
in
love
the world like JUNKANOO.
No.
And we know because
No.
we've traveled the world.
Yes.
And we visited and attended and participated in a lot of the
Yes.
national festivals,
Yes.
international festivals.
Yes.
There's nothing.
Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yes.
Wow.
Like
The
JUNKANOO.
response, the
ma'am.
response is
Yes,
tremendous wherever you go.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter where you go in the world
Mhm.
and you travel. And once that drum hits,
Yeah.
you see the Bahamians start poking out.
Yeah.
They come from all the
People see
crevices
them.
and corner,
Yeah.
no matter where you are in the world.
Mhm.
But even beyond that, the response of people in general,
Mhm.
because when we were in Edmonton in
Yeah.
2001 for the closing of the
Awesome.
World Games,
Mhm.
when that JUNKANOO lit up in the stadium, the people jumped over the railing
Yeah.
onto the track.
Uh-huh.
You remember?
Yes,
Okay. It gets rough.
Yeah. Just recently we held Carifta here last year.
Mhm.
And the athletes were saying it was the drums, the
Yes.
drums, because as a lot of
Wow,
the
yes.
long distance runners, I remember specifically a little child. Well, I guess they have children, but it was a junior race, and he was running. And so he won. And then we asked, well, what kept you? And he said, the drums. He said, the drums, man, the drums. So there you go. And that solidifies what Aline just said, because when they hear the beat, no matter what your nationality is, you will move to that pulsating beat, because the drum, the passion, the spirit just comes out. And there you have it.
I love it. So listen, that was actually the icebreaker.
Oh.
But I want to ask another question for our introductory question. All right, and I'm going to ask it in two ways. Let me tell you why I'm going to do it in two ways. One, I'm going to do it I'm going to articulate it in the way that Mrs. Ferguson would have wanted to hear me speak in the corridors of the great giant land.
Crossing all T's, dotting all I's. I understand. Yes, ma'am.
And then I'm going to ask the question the way that I want to ask
in Bahamian English.
In the Bahamianese. All right. So here's the first question in the correct way. All right. Can you share a bit about your personal experience and your introduction in Junkanoo and how you became involved in this cultural celebration? Now, you ready for me?
Okay.
How old y'all was when you first get in Junkanoo? What you was doing, and when you start, what y'all was doing? Like, what you was doing?
Since I'm the oldest one and have to go back the farthest.
Yeah.
But age is only a number.
True. I always say that my Junkanoo story started before I was born.
My God.
1942, Burma Road riots, all street parading is banned. No Junkanoo on Bay Street except the drums kept beating over the hill. 1947, a group of Bahamians approached the government, and one of them was my uncle, approached the government to request that Junkanoo be allowed to return to Bay Street. The government, in essence, said you can do a trial parade New Year's 1948, and if the people behave, Junkanoo can continue. Junkanoo has continued from then until now. I came along in 1950. And in 1951, my father died, H.O. Nash, and my mother politely moved back home to live with her family, one of whom was her brother, who was on the masquerade committee, they called it. So I grew up in this house with him being a part of the organizing committee, and all Junkanoos coming to our house to get, in those days, it was Marshall badges. And so the result was that at the age of 4, I asked if I could rush. And they thought it was cute because he was out there on the route, and because I was only 4, they allowed it. This was 1954. This was not something that people from good families did, or especially if you were a female. But because he was out there, because I was 4, they allowed me to do it. And I've been involved one way or the other ever since. When I became a teenager, my mother said, now you're getting ready to go to high school. You have to stop rushing. It's not something that proper young ladies do. And she stopped me as a teenager. And when I came back from college, times were changing. Sir Lyndon had already declared that he was a Junkanoo and rushing with the pigs. And so the attitude was changing. I'll never forget what he did. He said, I am a Junkanoo. It was earth shaking. Believe me. He said it at the opening of the Junkanoo exhibition that the archives did in 1978. And for me, that was revolutionary. And so to cut a long story short, I have been involved in one way or the other ever since. I served on the National Junkanoo Committee for 24 years. And somebody made a chance comment about these people who just make decisions for Junkanoo and don't know what it is to wear cardboard. And I say, now I don't take glass.
Come on.
I am back in the road, Bala. And so the rest, as they say, is history.
I love it.
But from what she just said, though, it spoke a louder picture then than it does now, and what it has done is it now has evolved into something greater, because she said the then Prime Minister, the late Honorable Sir Lyndon Pindling, said, I am Junkanoo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the background of Sir Lyndon. He was an attorney. He was the Prime Minister of the country. He was foremost, but yet he still appreciated his culture.
Yes.
And so what she did was she brought eloquence and the essence of that surprise to it, because as a female, and as she said, history is history. You can't rewrite history.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And her experience is really and truly the pathway that paved the way for people like me and Muffin to be where we are. Because once ago, and she could tell you, I mean, this woman is a historian about all the historians. Women weren't allowed.
No.
Because I mean, if you were to ask me about my history, I remember as a child, my late uncle Wilfred Sajikama, who was a Major League Baseball player at the time, him and the late Paul Diamond Knowles were very, very good friends. And I used to be with them learning how to pace as a child. But I was not allowed to participate in the parade. And my uncle and my aunt would take me to the parades, but I was never allowed to participate in the parade. And I remember when I was getting ready to graduate, because Junior Junkanoo started later, right? But we're talking now in the 80s. It was still a taboo for women to be in Junkanoo like that. And I always wanted to understand why I can't do it. You want me to, because I went to Shirley Bass, I know how to dance, and we know how to do all these other things, but why can't, why?
Yeah.
And I remember the day that the choreograph section started. And I remember Dr. Charlene Wallace, Alice Teeny Clark, and Michelle Fields were like the first 3 choreographed dancers that I remember, because I never missed the parade. My aunt and uncle used to take me, and listen, learning how to pace the back of a costume, if you know how to do that, you know how to pace. Hello. Because I have this permanent bump on my finger now from learning how to cutting crepe paper, because the fundamentals are so important. So what she just explained is like gold in Junkanoo, because many people in Junkanoo today are here but don't understand the pathway that we have to go through. Look at Muffin. Muffin is the first female leader, chairperson of a major A division group. Listen to me.
It's been quite a journey.
That is not an easy task.
No.
I applaud every time I see Muffin. She tired of me now, because every time I see Muffin, because with me being the first female co-chair of the National Junkanoo Committee, we're responsible for Junkanoo apart from New Providence, right? I said to Muffin just yesterday, Muffin, now, when you go on, I need to prep you. This is what you need to say, because on the Family Islands, there are women who are responsible for these groups, but they also need encouragement as well. And what Muffin has endured, what she has gone through, so what Arlene said, for real. The things like that is what should be explained, because that's history. That's us. We can't rewrite that. We can't reshape it. That's what happened.
That's it.
Right or wrong,
Now, Muffin, just before we take that break, just 1 second in that break. Where they get Muffin from? And then we can talk with your journey. Real quick.
I actually had the name from a baby
Oh.
when I was born. So yeah, it stuck with me.
So this ain't a Junkanoo thing.
No,
This
it's
is a
not.
baby thing. This
But
is-
you can get some Junkanoo names.
What?
You could walk in the shack and they would stick a name on you, and that's it for life.
That's it.
For life.
All right, we can talk about that later. Let's take a real quick break, because I want to hear about Muffin's journey, how she got to this point, because this is impactful, this is powerful, and this is something that we as Bahamians, we need to know. We ain't just going on Bay Street just because. I heard one of them said, this is not entertainment, all right? This is me. This is who I am. This is a part of me. I know whence we came and how we got to this point, and I have a little vision of what's going to happen in the future, so we need to make sure we know as Bahamians what we're doing and what we're involved in. Let's take a break. Let me come back, make sure I put that Junkanoo beat there and do it loud so I can hear it too, because I need to do one shake, shake, shake. All right? Let's go.
It's the most wonderful time.
Mom, can I have an LOL doll for Christmas, please? Mom, can I have a Nintendo Switch, please?
Okay, children, all you have to do is write a letter to Santa and tell him what you want. And we'll drop it right at the door.
But Mom, Santa doesn't exist.
Who tell you all that? Guess who Santa's partnering with this
All
year?
right, so
That's right.
after we're done
Airborne
with
freight and cargo
questioning your
services.
journey,
Everything
we're
you
gonna
need for
go
this
straight
holiday
into it,
season,
like,
even those special requests, can be delivered right to your front door, whether you've been naughty or nice. Prefer in-store pickup in Florida? We do that too. Call 377-0450.
Mommy, I heard Santa Claus.
So
Santa.
yeah. Yes, she does.
We already know that, but that's okay. Because we're gonna get all because it's different generations
It's
here,
a
right?
Bahamian party. We got everything you need to have for a party. Come see balloons and banners.
Yeah.
Toy chairs, yes we do rentals. We got everything. Located 1 inch plaza right on Princess Drive. And we can order anything for you online. Party spot, party early, party often. With Bahama Mountain inside the blind. Call us at 393-3637.
This holiday season, come into John's for all your footwear and fashion needs, where we have women, men, and children covered for work, church, play, or the party in your life. Jewelry, handbags, and of course, gift cards in any amount make a great gift for friends and family. And there is our small appliance section. Need a new outfit for the season? Check out our John's Fast Fashion Clothing Store. Our John's Career Store is the perfect gift shop for a nurse or anyone in healthcare. Come in store or shop online at johnsshoes.com for same-day delivery or free next-day delivery. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, Bahamas, from John's Shoes.
If you wanna keep your breath real fresh, I can tell you what you need. There's nothing like that cool or fresh mint taste from Listerine. It kills those germs that cause bad breath and keeps your mouth clean. With or without alcohol, it's still gonna work the same. Listerine. Yeah, it keeps your mouth so fresh, so clean. Listerine. It's only 30 seconds of rinsing. Listerine. Twice a day is all you need to kill those bad breath germs with speed. Let's get some Listerine.
Listerine, proudly distributed by Lowe's Wholesale.
You're listening to Your Lane with Coach Trish Hanna.
Got it, yeah.
Thank you. Also, you don't do that. You don't do that. What? What?
Okay.
All right. Found a little piece of it. All right. So we're back. Welcome back for those who are just tuning in to us. Those who in the shack, I hope y'all paying attention to how y'all gluing the stuff on these things. All right. Y'all don't mess up while y'all listening and laughing at the same time. Stay focused. All right. Because I don't want y'all to say they rob us. All right. Okay. All right. So just before we went on the break, we were talking about like what was the journey about? How did you get from where, from a kid to now? Like what got you excited about Junkanoo? How did you get here? What was your experience? What was the journey? Why is it such a thing for you? I'm trying to say it the best way possible without going into my Bahamian dialect again. All right. So, and we ended with Mrs. Ferguson. I'm sorry, we ended with Kishleen. And now we want to go to Muffin so that she can explain her journey. Where did you start from? How old were you? And why are you still here?
Well, I am the daughter of one of the greatest fellas in the Bahamas, Tyrone Fernando, but everybody knows him as Goatman. So I am Goatman's daughter.
Goatman daughter.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Goatman from Peter Street.
You know
Yeah.
Goatman.
So well, my father was with the Saxons at the time. So it was back in 1986. I was 8 years old. Feed the Nation.
Amen.
Let's Feed the Nation was the theme that year. My brother, who was younger than me, he always went along with my father. So he has been doing this longer than I have. And I always was excited and wanted to get into it. So I was like, only him getting to go do this all the time. And I, because at that time, Junkanoo went from Frederick to Parliament. And so we would always watch by where the Chinese lady painted in the window. Yeah. And then you would venture your way down to Burger King on the corner where Fendi was now Starbucks. If you didn't do that before the morning was over, then you ain't been downtown and you ain't been to Junkanoo.
Okay.
But it so happened that my brother's costume got pasted some colors that they didn't want, and I snapped up that opportunity and said, well, I'm willing to wear it. And so that is how my journey got started.
Wow.
And so from then to now, I've missed 2 parades. In 1998, New Year's morning, I wasn't feeling so well. And then I discovered I was with child, with my first son.
Okay.
So I missed that parade. And then I missed 2014. Because of that same child, he passed away that year. So those were the only 2 times in my 39 years that I missed a parade. But went out Rush with the Saxons, then came along 1993. Back then you couldn't determine who were the little boys and who were the little girls because everybody looked alike, same costuming, unless you took your headpiece off, and you could say, oh, that's a girl. So times changed, things moved along. 1993, one family came along. Miss Nash, actually, Ferguson, one of the founding members of One Family, along with her husband, Silva Jackson Burnside, Rory Sanders, and a few others. And so at that time, I moved into choreography. You're getting older, so you're getting more girly, so you want to do girly stuff. And so I moved into choreography with Robert Bain at the time. In 1995, they introduced the choreograph competition. And One Family actually won the first 5 straight.
Come on.
Straight.
Come on.
Straight.
And so it went there. And then I decided later on that I wanted to venture out on my own. I wanted to do more design because I love doing costumes. I love costuming. And so when you're in a section with a group of persons, everybody has to do the same thing. So it has to stay within a budget to make everybody look alike. Now I wanted to blow the budget. So I had to venture out and go on my own. But besides that, I did some background work, sitting in the steering table as secretary, some secretarial work and behind the scenes stuff. And then in 2014, I was out and I got a call like 10:30. No, let's say 11:30 that night. Oh, we nominated you for vice chair to run alongside Darren Turnquest, who we nominated for chairman. I was like, y'all sure? Me? So they were like, yeah. This time, and you're not declining.
Oh.
And you were the first female vice chair, right?
I think at that time it was Teddy from Roots. I don't know if she held the position.
Okay, I'm not sure.
And so I was like, okay. So when I hung up from my girlfriends, the first person I called was Miss Ferguson. I said, I got a call and I told, so she said, yes, you are, Muffin, you were doing this. And so I was like, okay.
So even if you wanted to say no, you couldn't say no.
And so, there are many times throughout my Junkanoo career from I've met Miss Ferguson, there are times when I need to talk, and so I would call her to consult. So we talk a lot. I respect the response. So the elections came around. Of course, we won. And then Darren was like, I'm only doing this for one term. One term in our organization is 2 years. And so I was like, okay. And so we would have these talk shows and these events come up. And what I noticed Darren always did was he would reach late. And I was like, okay. So at the end of it, he told me, yeah, I was getting you prepared to talk in the front of the camera. You had to get used to it. It's because I'm not doing this again. And so 2016 came around and elections were held and I won unopposed.
Come on.
Actually,
again, sorry.
I won unopposed.
Hold on, I'm trying to do Junkanoo dance. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I was unchallenged, so I won unopposed. I had a great team of persons. so far I've led the group into about 5 victories.
Ooh.
Drum roll.
And best man for the job is a woman.
Come on.
Indeed.
As a woman.
Always.
And so came back around 2018. I won unopposed again.
Okay.
And then unopposed. And then COVID came around and I was challenged in 2020, but I also won that. So I'm on my third term.
1,
serving.
2, and 3.
Yeah, I'm actually in my third term.
All right.
And
around the world.
And the last time one family won back to back was
this year.
I think 20 years ago.
This year.
Was it? No. Not this one.
2002.
Yeah, so it was almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
And so that was under Darren Bastian.
Yes.
And so I'm the second to give the organization back-to-back victories.
Come on.
There you go.
That's a woman.
Yeah.
If y'all don't know. Okay. All right, let's hear
the
it.
beauty is real. Like, again, history, you cannot rewrite history. We have to appreciate history, learn from our history, and then move on.
Amen.
Like, Muffin's story is so touching. So is Ali's, And these are the stories that people need to hear.
Absolutely.
We want to hear about the yucking and the vexating and the
No.
gyrating and things. Because
No.
those things will come natural.
Absolutely.
But our history, like documenting stuff, because Aline was the first female to write a book called I Come Again. You know about that?
Yeah.
You know about that?
Yeah, you heard about it.
You ever did? Yeah.
Because you know she ain't put that in her bio.
No.
Okay.
So that's why we had to make sure everything is
Right.
disclosed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she wrote a book. And like Aline and I were in the GCNB when we did the first coloring book.
Yes.
But you remember that in there?
No.
So people don't know about that, but we did that. So these are really historic occasions because they need to be documented.
They need to.
Yeah.
So now speaking of history, right? What challenges, and this is very important because this is the whole purpose of our show, have Bahamian women historically faced in participating in Junkanoo? And how have these challenges evolved over time?
Well, for the female, the guys always saw it fit that I guess we were only good to do choreography and probably carry smaller costumes up front. But nowadays, women are dominating in all fields.
I've seen it.
You have women bass drummers, you have women tom-tom drummers, you have women in the brass, you have women bellas. As a matter of fact, the majority of the frontline costumes, the larger pieces, are carried by women nowadays. So that was a challenge, but we've come to prove that, hey, if you could do it, we could do it. And then, even with me being a leader, some people, and my vice chair is actually a female. So we get a double whammy up top there in one family. And so I surround myself with those that I'm comfortable with and who see my vision.
Yeah.
And so most of them are females. There are a few males in the pot, but you have some persons refer to us as you gotta get rid of the girls' club. That's those sexist ones. But we find with that in this game, men also do not feel that women have thick skin, but we prove them wrong in that arena too. Actually, in Junkanoo, the men are more touchy than the females.
Really?
Yes, that is a proven and known fact. But it just shows that times have changed, times have evolved, and just what the guys can do, women are now proven that we can do it too.
Love it.
We've also shown from an administrative standpoint how well we can organize a group.
Oh yeah.
Because what you see at the end result is something that really intensified by the planning, the correct planning, the ordering, the structuring, and everything, pulling everything together. So essentially, as a female in Junkanoo, the administrative portion is as or even more important than the parade itself. Because if you don't have the supplies to build the costumes, your group will not have the important stuff to become eligible to be in that particular division. That's number one. Number two, if you don't have a design team or a design factor that will that really never really ends. I mean, because as soon as the parade ends in January, they're back in the field, what they call in their realm, determining what or considering any possible themes or whatever may come up for them to do that. And then it comes to the budgetary fashion. So you'd have to have somebody who really understands the dynamics of finance and to make certain that there are provisions in place to accommodate all of the expenses that will come about. So as a female, we bring a lot to the table apart from just the beauty and the element of surprise. We brainy, we smart. Oh, okay.
That's why we send you all to school.
We smart and we intelligent, and now women are doing we have women builders. I've seen a female builder bend a rod. Now you may ask, you may say the average person may say, "Oh, Diana, listen to me." To build those lead costumes, that is no easy task. And a lot of us who have come up in JUNKANOO, I personally have never tried to bend no rod. But I've seen it done, and I know I can build my little hat, I could build my skirt, and once we've created patterns, then we know what to do. And so as a woman, we take that initiative to make sure that we become independent. And in doing so, we could create our own costumes.
Amen.
So to Muffin's point, as a leader, you surround yourself with people who are strong. You don't know everything. Nobody in this world knows everything. But if you surround yourself with the right people, and if you are equipped to listen, because as a leader, you have to listen, and then you can take constructive criticism. And, when we interact with people of different genders, not everybody, like she said, can take that constructive criticism. But it's important, though, to have a successive growth plan in place where if I'm doing this today, who's going to foreshadow me so that you'll be able to see what will take place in the next 5, 10, 15 years. One person shouldn't be in a role forever and ever. Amen. And so these are some of the qualities that we bring. And whether or not it's accepted is another thing, but it's something that's valued.
Amen.
And just to underscore what these ladies have said, just to put it into context, traditionally, JUNKANOO has always been a male activity. And I could remember Maureen Duvalier saying what a difficult time. The minute a woman participated in JUNKANOO, her reputation just hit the floor. You had to be whatever they thought you were. No respectable women would participate in JUNKANOO. So the women who came before us really had a time. And even in my lifetime, I won't call the group's name. I know there is a group still participating today who felt decades ago that women were bad luck. Yeah, they did not want women participating in the group. You never hear that, my friend? They thought women were bad luck. So we have come a long way, baby. We have come a very, very long. Just to put it into context so you could see how long this journey has really been.
That's amazing.
She's absolutely correct. And then if you take a moment to just look at the history, I remember as a child, the Mighty something, it was the Music Makers who were the group, and then it was the Mighty something, Calvin Balfour's group. Remember?
I most qualified.
Most qualified,
most
right?
Qualified,
Music Makers and Most Qualified. Back in the day, the Music Makers were the group
top,
buddy. Because they were best in lead costumes, music, and everything. So JUNKANOO evolves. But I'm glad that a group like the Music Makers, they're still around because a lot of them, a lot of the old soldiers, as per se, a lot of the people who are JUNKANOO gurus now came up through the essence of the Music Makers and she mentioned the Saxons, the Valley Boys, and all that. But the point is that succession planning is important, and women, as a woman, we bring that to the table. Like Muffin said, when she first was there, it was her and Darren and her. And now her deputy is a female, and then she surrounds herself with people who she feels comfortable with in her realm. The same with what we learned from Madam right on the side of us, your principal, crossing every T, dotting every I, making sure that the king and queen's English upheld.
But I'll tell you a secret. I only speak standard English when I absolutely have to.
Yes, I've heard both,
I
so I
speak
know.
my Bahamian English
Bahamian
proudly.
English.
Think
Now,
we display.
You think this is a joke?
We have so many questions, and so we're trying to see if we could just, as if you can compress the answers as
Okay,
best. I
boy,
feel
that's a
bad
lot of
because we have,
questions.
yeah. So I'm trying to get the best ones. I know this is like a part 2, and this is ridiculous, but we'll do what we can. All right. So one of the next question I want to ask is, in what ways do you see the role of women in Junkanoo influencing and shaping the cultural narrative and identity of the Bahamas?
Well, our role is significant in Junkanoo. Take UNESCO, for instance, on the, if I may, may I? Okay. Well, I don't want to usurp any authority which will take place by our ministers, Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Honorable Mario Boleg, and the Minister of Education, the Honorable Glennis Hannah Martin. But there will be a press conference this Thursday at 2 p.m. at the ministry, where everything with respect to UNESCO is disclosed. But what I would like to say is, the Secretary General of UNESCO is a female. Her name is Deidre Bevins. The committee members are Madam Principal Arlene Nash Ferguson, myself, Kishlane Smith, Nicole Sutherland King. We're the females. We're the three females on the committee, and then we also have Percivala Francis. We have Henry Higgins. We have Dion Miller, and we have Dr. Dwight Marshall
and Andrew Edwards.
We are the committee members who've worked tirelessly from 2018, meeting every single week and on Saturdays, and then we would get a directive, like on a Sunday evening, I need a 500 character a paper by tomorrow. But we had to do it because the UNESCO timelines were so rigid, and we had to make certain that everything was done. So we took the time to read every single word, rewrite everything, send it in again, get markup, print Madam Principal, send it in again, get markup. But the point is, women as women, we took that challenge on. We made certain that we achieved that particular challenge, and soon on Thursday, everything will be disclosed, right?
Generalizations are always dangerous, but I think it is fair to say that women pay attention to detail.
Meticulous.
Yes. As dangerous as that might be to say.
But it's true. Go ahead. You good? All right, you good. That's good. Okay,
They said it all.
This is not a part of my question, but I always wanted to know this. As a woman, when you go into the shacks, where are the kids? What are they doing? Do you feel bad that they come in there?
Yeah,
do you feel bad that you spend most of your
come
time
in
in the shack and the kids at home? How do you balance work, home for those who are married, your husband? How is that a balance for women in our country when it comes to?
Well, I can only speak from personal experience. And as I had started to say to you before the show, one of the reasons why our marriage has lasted for 43 years is because we compromised. He taught me football so that we could enjoy it together, and he agreed to get involved in Junkanoo with me. And so that, because of that, and because the house belongs to me and I don't have to answer to another female, then the rules are very different from other people's homes. Because Bala, we gotta get to bed. We gotta get to bed. So the house becomes the shack, and that's just fine with me. Once my costume is finished, then we could start to decorate and do all these other things. But I gotta get to bed. And so I say that to say that where you have a couple where both partners are involved, it makes a tremendous difference. I think the tension, life easier. I think the tension comes in when one partner is in the shack for hours and hours and hours, and the other spouse is not.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's where I think the tension comes in. But if you're doing it together, then it makes the world of difference. Yeah.
I love. That's for somebody. Somebody needed to hear that today. I'm a marriage coach. No, seriously. And you hear things. You know, if it is in the job, he always at the shack.
Yes.
Okay. If he ain't at the shack, he doing something else or whatever have you. You go where he is.
Exactly.
All right.
See, the thing is, too, a lot of persons, they meet you and they know that Junkanoo is your passion,
right?
And know that's where your interest is, and they know once that time comes around, you're gonna be in the shack. And so in the beginning, because you're trying to court me,
you understand.
I into that with you and I all, but once they lock you in, then it's be like, oh, you always spending time with this Junkanoo. Well, I'm told at home that I love Junkanoo more than the man. So yeah, you know, and I just be like, well, maybe I do. But you know,
take care of your family first, please. I'm not encouraging anything outside of that. So you bring the pampers, bring the milk, bring everything what you need to bring. Go to the shack, y'all go do that together. That's a family outing for y'all. Okay?
The females, we do take the kids with us, and that is how we've had in one family right now, as a group that started in 1993, and a lot of our members now who are leaders were babies. And like they're now leading because the parents, as parents, we brought them out. And so they grew up in it. And so they understand.
And it goes back to succession planning. But a lot of couples as well, they've created their own shack space in their yard, their home somewhere. So that somewhat helps to mitigate some of the distinction in the marriages or in the relationships. But I think what is important too is, as a female, our history has always taught us, you go to school, you go to university, you get a job, and you have children, and that's it. But we are different now. So you meet me in Junkanoo, hello somebody, and so you meet me in Junkanoo, and so come on, let's acquiesce and let's work together to make sure that we can find a common ground. And it's communicative though, so you have to communicate these things and move on.
So just before we go into a break, I have a question that I need to ask too. This is, I guess one person can ask and then we go on a break and then we get the others because of the time, right? So beyond the parade itself, how are Bahamian women involved in their communities using Junkanoo as a platform for community engagement and cultural preservation? Why is it preservation?
Well, look at our esteemed elder here, right? She has taken the love and the passion for Junkanoo to transform it from a parade atmosphere into an actual revenue generating atmosphere in the establishment of her business, which is her sole business now, which is doing very well because any given day you could pass her establishment and you'll see buses there with dray loads of tourists or whomever. And the thing is, there is an appetite for it. There's an appetite for the business. So she's a prime example. Many of us would want to move out of the corporate Bahamas and do something more of the passion that we like. But Arlene thought about it before nobody else did. Because think about it. When she trademarked her business establishment, and then she increased the volume by ensuring that the information was circulated as a tourist, I guess, appetite, as a tourist attraction. But that is an example of somebody who took the passion from the parade and transformed it into revenue generating opportunities and into a lifestyle. Right or wrong?
Oh, I want to hear it from her. Let's take a break and then we gotta hear. We have to hear. I mean, this is your spokesperson is just so eloquent and detailed.
So honest.
But this is what it is, though.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So we're gonna take a quick break and then we get to hear Mrs. Ferguson's answer to this question. Yes. All right, so let's go.
But I can finally, I love them.
Yes.
And I'm not really interested in the round or Ray. I into that. But what I'm interested
PMJ, you got what you need for everyday skincare. For that smooth skin, got Neutrogena, Aveeno, clean and clear. We got Listerine that's gonna keep your breath fresh and clean. For all that you love, I'm gonna tell you what you need. Johnson & Johnson, Children's Motrin, Aveeno, Johnson, baby. Johnson & Johnson, Black Benadryl, got Tylenol and Bengay. Johnson & Johnson, Lubriderm, Imodium, and Visine. For all that you love, I'm gonna tell you what you need. Johnson & Johnson, distributed by Lowe's Wholesale.
It's a Bahama Awesome Ends Party. We got everything you need to have for a party. Come see for yourself. Balloons and banners, gifts and toppers. We got books, plates, toy chairs. Yes, we do rentals. We got everything. Located one in Plaza, right on Princess Drive. And we can order anything for you online. With Party Smart, Party Earth, Party Often. With Bahama Awesome Ends Party Supply. Call us at 393-3637.
This holiday season, come into John's for all your footwear and fashion needs, where we have women, men, and children covered for work, church, play, or the party in your life. Jewelry, handbags, and of course, gift cards in any amount make a great gift for friends and family. And there is our small appliance section. Need a new outfit for the season? Check out our John's fast fashion clothing stores. Our John's Career Store is the perfect gift shop for a nurse or anyone in healthcare. Come in store or shop online at johnsshoes.com for same-day delivery or free next-day delivery. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, Bahamas, from John's Shoes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Are you ready to catapult your business into the spotlight? Introducing Guardian Business Boots.
Ignite your success, and it's absolutely free to join.
Did you say free?
Yes, free. Guardian Business Boost is not just a program. It's your ticket to unprecedented visibility and growth. The Guardian Media Group is committed to helping the Bahamas prosper by creating new opportunities for small businesses who are the key drivers of that growth.
How does it work?
It works by first registering your business with the Guardian Business Boost at thenassauguardian.com. Then each month, Guardian Media will pick and boost 5 businesses with 1 month of free ads across our multiple advertising platform, the Nassau Guardian newspaper, website, Guardian Radio 96.9, Star 106 Hits, and all social media platforms. Catapult your business into the spotlight with Guardian Business Boost. Sign up for free today at thenassauguardian.com.
This is Hits 106, Nassau, the Bahamas. You're listening to Your Lane with Coach Trish Hanna.
That's what you mean?
No.
5, 6, 7, 8. Can you just stop and use it just like that? I was doing 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 1. Anyway. So before we went on the break, there was a question that I asked about what were we talking about? The opportunities right outside of the parade itself. How are Bahamian women involved in their communities using JUNKANOO as a platform for community engagement and cultural preservation? Preservation. And so, of course, our wonderful spokesperson, Kishleen, spoke so highly about what Mrs. Ferguson was doing. And she even forget that she was doing that. But we want to hear from her. Let's hear, why did you choose that? What was the inspiration behind doing your business?
The inspiration was children and education. Wow. That's why it's named Educulture. Because what I realized, you would find a child who would not be interested in the debating society or the 4-H club or the Red Cross, whatever the clubs were that the school was offering, or not even interested in the academics. But once you saw them in a JUNKANOO shack, they became a different person. And I'm looking at them through my teacher's eyes. And I am saying, how do we translate that passion into education? How do we use JUNKANOO as the gateway for children to love learning.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really the impetus that gave rise to educulture. Because when you say Junkanoo to a Bahamian, whether they are 4 or 44,
Mm-hmm.
they are going to holler out 9 times out of 10 the name of their group.
Yes.
And I'm saying to myself, we are missing an opportunity to educate our children on the power of their heritage.
Mm-hmm.
They do not know that Junkanoo started as resistance to slavery. They do not know that they have come from people who could celebrate in the most difficult circumstances known to man. We have to get our children equipped with the knowledge of their past. And that is why I started educulture. And as Ghislaine said, when the Ministry of Tourism discovered us and other people discovered us, and the tourist traffic started to come in. So now we have a dual personality.
Mm-hmm.
We do Junkanoo workshops for schools, which will always be my passion. But we have regular tours that come through, and we try to give our visitors a true Bahamian experience. We try and we tell them that this is your behind the scenes, off the beaten track, true Bahamian experience. They even have to practice their Bahamian accent. When they walk in, I say, now you come for a true Bahamian experience. We gotta polish up your accent. Repeat after me. Hey man, what you saying? And they love it. They love it. Yeah.
So
and if I may, we have, that's an excellent segue. The National Junkanoo Committee, we have introduced something similar for the Family Islands, because we recognize that there are many persons or many individuals who may not wish to participate in an actual participatory parade, but they may wish to participate in Junkanoo. So we've introduced an essay, logo, and poetry competition via Soul Petroleum, which is our sole title sponsor for Junior Junkanoo for the last 34 years. And we've seen a wonderful a compliment that came from the Family Islands, where the essence of Junkanoo, the talent is real in our country, and it's not just New Providence centric, it's throughout the country. And it's important that all of the Bahamian Islands enjoy our festive love for our foremost cultural expression, but it's also key that they express themselves in the way that they know how. And so we can't take the rules per se of New Providence to the Family Islands. We have to understand the dynamics of those islands, and then what we do is we incorporate rules that are indicative to that particular island. And we've found that in doing that, it has helped those particular islands evolve and become their own individual. And it helps so much because, like she said, not every student is theoretical. Not every child can understand that, but when you put them in a shack setting, they understand that, because that passion is there. We started off by talking about the pulsating beat of the drums. That passion then permeates, and it really exudes, and it comes out alive all throughout our country.
Amen.
So how do we get, I mean, I guess it basically answered this question, but maybe we could be a little bit more thorough on this. How do we encourage more young ladies to participate and understand the culture of Junkanoo?
Well, let me just say, right, before these ladies join in, that last phrase that you said is so critical. Understand the culture of Junkanoo, because many of us are confused. We don't know where Carnival ends and Junkanoo begins. Junkanoo puts on, Carnival takes off. I have a real problem. Junkanoo, traditionally, you are covered. Your face, to now, my skirt is to the ground. I have on gloves. Here we go in there. I have on gloves. I have on a hat. I am complete. That, for me, is Junkanoo. That's all I grew up knowing, that you must be completely covered. It pains me when I see young ladies out there, in particular, naked legs, naked, what you call these things, bra tops. So I have a problem. That's me personally. So it struck a chord when you say we have to teach them what Junkanoo is, because I think we are cheating Junkanoo out of much of its beauty. I think we are depriving Junkanoo of what it could be because we are shortcutting it. So they could throw as much rock and bottle at me as they want. It don't matter. That's how I feel. We are just diluting Junkanoo to the point where people look at Junkanoo costumes and don't know the difference. And we just saw a corporate sponsor post a carnival photograph on Facebook and call it Junkanoo. Come on, man.
So
we
how,
could do better.
I mean, it's you, obviously, Mrs. Ferguson, but we need other people to stand up and talk about this, because yes, if we don't stand and say something, we're going to turn somebody else's culture into ours. And we're already doing that. If you listen to our radio shows and stuff, you will hear more carnival music, more, American rap and all these different things. And then they say this Bahamian music. So who else? Who's going to do it? Who's going to stand up? Who's going to say something?
Well, I think that is a hefty question, because everything in Junkanoo as we know it now is inclusive, right? So if your theme, let's go back. So if your theme requires you to wear a certain costume, then for you to portray your theme in the exhibition that which you had intended, then you will portray it in that regard. But I think where the disconnect is that when that other festival was rolled out, it was rolled out under the auspices of Junkanoo Inclusive in it. And so that is what
the
created,
name was in it initially.
Yes.
That was the big problem right there.
And I think that is where the obscurity began. And I, for one, have a problem with it. I've traveled to many countries all over the world and participated in their national festivals because I'm a culturist, and so I love culture. And nobody can say anything about someone's culture if you've never really intertwined into it. And so when I want to go to that culture, that because we have an annual trip that happens and blah blah blah, you participate in that. But in the Bahamas, and which is why I'm so thankful and so happy that I was a part of the inscription committee for UNESCO, because we have safeguarded now Junkanoo in the Bahamas. And what that means is, again, I don't want to usurp no authority, so I'll leave that for the ministers to explain. I don't want to get myself into trouble. But it's a big, big deal. It is a big, big deal. And Junkanoo can only be protected if we keep it in its true authenticity.
I love that.
And make sure that we don't, like she said, water it down.
Taint it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I agree with Kishlane that some themes chosen, there's just certain things that you have to portray, and so it's not like back in the day where everything was covered and everybody wore the fully cardboard costumes. Nowadays it's evolved to persons want to portray particular characters, and so their costume to get as close to that character as possible. But like was said earlier, where it did go wrong was making it Bahamas Junkanoo Carnival. And I think Junkanoo was added to it to try and lure the Junkanoo community to be a part of it. And it got pushed back. I think they eventually took Junkanoo out of it, because there has to be a separation. Carnival is Carnival, Junkanoo is Junkanoo. And so they're different formats. Things are done different. We may use some of the same material, but Carnival, waterproof. Junkanoo and water do not mix.
No. That's oil and water.
Yeah, it's oil and water.
So let me ask you a question, especially though you did choreography as well.
Yes, I did.
Well, all yours, right? How you have all that energy to go 2 laps and thing dancing and then remembering? 3. This year is 3, right?
It's always been
always
3.
3. I thought they cut it down to 2.
No,
I feel bad.
only if there are weather conditions. and
Weather conditions.
yeah.
So how do y'all get the energy? Where did you start from? What? How? I don't understand.
I admire them because listen here, when you see those drums roll over, nobody telling me where to put my foot.
Oh.
Well, practice.
Endurance.
Yeah, because it helps you to build up the endurance. The timing of the parade to go from Frederick to East Street is 70 minutes. So you're on a time frame. If you go past that time frame, you're penalized. So it's all about endurance, and that's why you have the weekly practices. But the ladies have their additional separate section practices. Just about as it gets closer to the parade, they practice just about every day.
And at different times during the day.
Yeah.
Right. So when do you start the practices? When do they start? Like from
Well, it
September?
would be like, okay, once we're finished with this and we do shack cleanups and sort out and probably take a 2 weeks breather. We're back at it again because now we have to sit down and discuss what themes are we going to bring next year. So once all of that is sorted out, then you meet with the various sections to say, look here, this is what it is. And so they go from there to develop.
So what month in the year y'all start with the
You don't now it don't stop because look at it. We rush Labor Day.
Yeah.
We rush Independence. We rush Emancipation. Yeah, well, that too. You have trips come up. Like I think one family rush every week this year. So I really don't even know how we make it to be because we rush every week. Like nowadays it's a non-stop thing.
So y'all have, especially mine is in I salute the choreographers.
You should try it.
Because I'm big.
But don't knock it until you try it once. She would love it.
I walk up them stairs just now to get to the station, and I was like, no, this ain't for me. No, I wouldn't make it.
And you didn't. And the thing what really tickles me is they never show their Bay Street choreography at practice.
No.
So they have a different choreography for practice. And nobody sees nobody sees their Bay Street routine until we get to Bay.
Boxing Day is one routine. New Year's is another routine.
Well, John, I can't join nobody. When they going right, hold on, let me see if I can do that. When they go right, I could be going left. Then when they doing that, okay, y'all wait for me. Hold on, wait.
There's some 2 left foot people who make the cut.
And they made the cut.
Yeah, you have some 2 left foot people squeeze in there.
They would gladly say to you, free dance.
And don't do the one where when they have the costume and little pretty thing coming, and then they go down and then the thing go up and the thing or whatever. That ain't for me because I'll sit right down there. I'll be ready. Okay, y'all call me when y'all finish because this ain't happening.
But the beauty of choreography though is that it's an in sync, synchronized performance, but it's also the element of surprise, and it really shows and showcases that particular group and what they're bringing. So it's an exhibition. It's a beautiful thing because nowadays we have access to the drones, right?
Yes.
So when you see after the parade, of course, you see the drone footage, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful to see. So it like Muffin mentioned, JUNKANOO is evolving, and so all these things are a part of our evolution of JUNKANOO. Once we maintain the authenticity, though, because once we keep that. But the evolving portion of the element of surprise is important.
And a big part of the authenticity is the crepe paper.
Amen.
Come no. Let's talk about the crepe paper. What's going on with the crepe paper?
But before we leave the choreography, we have to mention Maureen Duvalier, who brought the first set of choreographed dancers to be in the 40s. And then Paul Knowles revived with Roots, revived the choreographed dancing. It's become such an integral part now of the parades. So talk about the paper now. Well, I find the masquerade committee, when they restarted JUNKANOO in 1948, they decided, don't know, you're putting my bag on the ground. Oh, yeah, okay, because I can't be broke. Right? No, 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 no. You all this behavior or what? Yeah, the Masquerade Committee in 1948, when they restarted the parades, they made the rule that the costumes would be out of paper. Paper was one of several materials that were being used up to that point. People really came in anything that they had. Okay, and so they zeroed in on the paper, which for me is very significant, because as far as I can gauge, slaves were not permitted to learn to read and write. And so for me, okay, I can't use it the way you use it, I can wear it. And so it's another example of defiance, of resistance. And so the paper is very special. When a lady from the African Diaspora Museum in London came through the Caribbean some years ago, the Bahamas was the last stop. She went south and then she came up the chain. She said, we are the only people that use paper. It is so distinctive. We are the only people whose costumes are made out of paper. And I do not want us to lose that, because Bahamians have a gift for pasting. You can't find that anywhere else in the world. But now you see, we want sheet, we want what they call stick in. Yeah, you ain't gonna paste this piece, this diamond. You can cut it out of some material and stick it in there. And so we just have to get the pride back. Start early and do it properly.
And then what she's saying too is she's confirming the colorful aspect of JUNKANOO. JUNKANOO is the only parade in the world where we have this much of an array of colors, like a kaleidoscope of color, color, like real color. And it's really, it permeates when you see a costume. So when you see a group that's lining up and you see the different tranches of color and the precision and how is it that they were able to tone those colors and match the colors and have it into a form where you could appreciate that, okay, this is what they're bringing, this is how they're bringing it, but they're bringing it through the scope of crepe paper and cardboard and, and the essence, and it's just fabulous. And so that's why we say what we say, babe. We are JUNKANOO.
The genius of a people. You're taking a cardboard box that somebody threw away and you are turning it and transforming it into a world-class work of art that you get to dance in. Y'all bad out there.
Okay. All right. We're actually wrapping up real quick. So just before we close, I just want to talk about where we're going in the future, or what you would want for us. So looking ahead, what steps can be taken to further empower and support the participation of Bahamian women in JUNKANOO, and what positive changes do you envision for us in the future? Let's go with Muffin first.
She catch me black out.
Well, let me say very generally, and this includes females, but I will say very generally that what I want is for JUNKANOO to become a part of the school curriculum. We have to teach it to our children. And we have to make the distinction between JUNKANOO and the parade. There's a difference. And so knowledge is power. We will empower our girls and our boys when we develop a structured syllabus in the school, the outcropping of which is the junior JUNKANOO program that becomes the practical side of the curriculum. But we want it to be deliberate and the modern buzzword, intentional. We want to teach it properly from the history straight through. It touches every discipline in the school curriculum.
It does. It does. It truly does. And what she said, though, think about it. JUNKANOO and the parade are two different facets.
It's the culture
I'm a
and
valley.
the competition.
Amen.
I'm a valley. She's one family. They're one family. But when Boxing Day, New Year's Day, now don't miss. Yeah, miss. Don't go that way. But every other day, we talking and we making sure we're here. So there is a distinctive difference between JUNKANOO and the parade. The parade is only 2 days.
Yes.
And we have to get beyond this foolishness of this tribalistic foolishness. I can't stand it. But we have to think, see, to me, the numbers mean something to me. At the end of the day, we do not want our neighbors to the north or south, east, west of us to come to our country and capitalize on the monetary gains that could possibly come from JUNKANOO. We have to think beyond the passion of just the parade and think about monetary opportunities where we're generating revenue for ourselves. Think about the people like Tyler Perry and Bill Gates and all these people who were in that same country in the same realm, but they did something outside of the box, and now they're generating money to sustain their lifestyles and help others. That is what JUNKANOO should do. The passion that I have right now, listen, like how that's why I admire that, because it takes a stepping stone and a will to move outside of your comfort zone. And so a lot of us are not comfortable to say, oh yeah, we love this JUNKANOO, but that's all we love, and then we just want to be shaken up. It's more to it than that. And there's
do you
revenue
think there's a
opportunities.
difference between someone who's passionate about the culture versus someone who's passionate about the competition? Because I hear that on the 26th of in December, between 26th and 27th. And then the 2nd and the 3rd of January, I've been hearing they rob us and this and that. And I ain't doing JUNKANOO no more. And I quit from this.
They get past that rather quickly. But to add to what has been said, additionally, we need a proper space for it to be viewed all year long. It's millions of dollars being spent if you add it up between all of the groups. And once we're done, it literally really goes to the garbage. So it's a wasted art form that's hauled off to the dump because you can't use it again the following year. Some things you recycle, but I mean, like, we need a proper place to showcase the artwork.
And
we have to believe it's that important, though. That's the prerequisite.
And we need the funding to be able to sustain it.
That will come once we believe it's that important.
I believe it's that important.
It is important.
On the Hill for a while, but I know Barabbas Woodside Quinton, he has his establishment where he brings, because when I'm in my sales meeting upstairs, we could hear the JUNKANOO stuff going on from where he is. And the last time that I was there, and I haven't been in a while, like I said, I could see where he had the few of the costumes that were displayed and all this other stuff. I'm sure someone can come together. Our committee can come together.
Think about it.
Find a little warehouse and then just use that.
There are 7 A division groups, 14 B categories. In the A division, you need, well, it's changed now. Before, you needed 2 lead costumes per group. That was no less than $20,000 per costume. So calculated 20,000 times 7, hauling off to the dump every year.
But thinking about it from a financial standpoint, we don't want the thought process to indicate that these things have not been deliberated upon and have not been even formulated, because they have. For many, many years, when we were on the JUNKANOO Corporation of Providence Limited together, Arlene's husband, Silbert, and his team, they got together and they planned, because I remember Leslie Johnson was the architect who they asked at the time, and they created something that's called a JUNKANOO Village, remember? And on paper, mind you, on paper. So the thought is there. We've thought about it, we've reviewed it, we've deliberated upon it, we've submitted it to who it needed to go to. It was knocked down. We did it again. It was knocked down. So we don't want the impression to think that these things were never thought of. They were thought of in the past. They're still being discussed today, I know. But again, like she said, we have to push for it. We have to push for it because it has to happen. We have to preserve our costumes in one way or another.
Absolutely. Well, let's push for it. What y'all waiting on? Let's do it. We want to preserve our culture. We want to be able to allow people to understand the purpose, the vision of the show has been met. To God be the glory. Everything that I have thought of that I think that we as listeners and Bahamians alike need to know. Of course, where we came from, where we are now, and where we're going, where we're headed. Definitely, we want to encourage and push the JUNKANOO as a curriculum in the school. We want to be able to have host warehouses or places where we can capitalize on the costumes that were designed at previous competitions and display them so that tourists could put a little $20-$25 to see it, and similar to what is being done here, but on a larger scale. And then we get funds coming in to help with the prizes and to help to defray costs for other JUNKANOO groups, etc. So it has to stop. We have to say something.
Yeah,
we have to say
and
something.
it cannot be just New Providence centric. It has to be throughout the Bahamas.
Throughout the Bahamas.
Yes, because more tourists now are traversing to the Family Islands, and they don't wish to travel to New Providence. They're going directly to the Family Islands because there are international airports all throughout the country. So understanding that dynamic, we have to be able to have some safe space for our tourists. Maybe we can use the gateways that are there to have some kind of exhibition for our costumes or something, but we have to think outside of the box to make sure that our culture, our JUNKANOO in the Bahamas is exhibited correctly and safeguarded.
Absolutely.
Forever, we do.
Yeah. So we're gonna end with just closing remarks from each of you with something that you would want people to know and to keep. Because of course we could always say, yeah, I like JUNKANOO, but there's something that they need, like a takeaway from today's show. If you were to say something for those who are presently participating, those who may have retired in some way from being a part of the culture. I mean, I don't know if you could ever retire from JUNKANOO. And for those who have children and grandchildren that they want to get to be a part of this JUNKANOO culture, what would you like to tell them, or what would be your parting words for those listeners?
Well, I mean, JUNKANOO is phenomenal. It is an art form. It's not taught anywhere in any classroom. No. And we have like doctorate degrees for self-taught artwork. We create masterpieces. We build families. We build relationships. We are families. Next to go into your 9 to 5, your next family, even sometimes larger than home, is your JUNKANOO family. And so it's not all bad. I mean, there's bad everywhere, but JUNKANOO is a great environment to be in. It's not just about costuming. There are a lot of life lessons learned. And so, yeah, it teaches discipline. And so those who would want to get involved, every Bahamian has their favorite group. Find that even with our brass, there are a lot of young men and women that come in and they can't read music. They want to play the instruments and they can't read music. One family, one summer, we did a music session, and that drew those individuals to come and join the organization. So there's a lot of good in it. And that's what I want people to take away. Like, don't listen to the noise out there. You have to experience it for yourself to see it.
I know. Mrs. Ferguson, I'm using it for the last. For the last. Please. Sorry,
well, from my perspective, from an administrative standpoint, as a female, and there are males that are in administration as well, but I would like to see more corporate sponsorship and corporate attention toward our culture. I think I am one who has advocated for years, since my stint as co-chair and now deputy co-chair of the National JUNKANOO Committee. I think that every corporate entity should pay something through their annual fees that they pay to our government, and that should be a line item directly to culture. And why is that important? Because if your staff to me, the staff of any organization is the greatest asset. And if your staff are comfortable and they have an appreciation for their own, then they will then in turn transpose that into their work environment and become comfortable with that work environment. But more importantly, if a corporate citizen or a corporate entity is in our country generating revenue from us, then for us to see a return, then we would see that in their contribution back to us. And that contribution could be through culture, through JUNKANOO. And there are many facets of JUNKANOO. So as a female, to answer your question, I would recommend anybody to just come and try them. There are many other things that you can do in JUNKANOO apart from participatory passion in the parade. You could come and help in the administrative. You could learn to become a judge. You could learn to become a grand marshal. You could learn to become a parade official. You could help with in the schools, like what we're saying, help to provide and produce
Community
written
service.
documents where we can instill this. Let me hurry up. Where we can instill, a literature or something documented which can be trained and taught through our students and the world in particular.
Okay, thank you.
My parting word would be simply to ask my fellow Bahamians, as Jackson always said, see what you're looking at. Let's go beyond the competition and the parade. Let's see JUNKANOO for the magnificent gift that it is that has been given to us. And so please support everybody as they pass in the morning, as we say, not just your group, but just support everybody who has made that tremendous sacrifice to be out there, and let us all enjoy it and appreciate it.
I love that. So everyone, we are wrapping up. For those who may be on Facebook, you can stay on for a little while longer for any other questions that we may pop up, because I saw a few on the thing, so we'll ask that a little later. But we're going to wrap up from the radio portion. So today, listen, you and your Valley shirt, we're going to close right now. All right, today's show was brought to you by
You two us in here now.
Airborne Freight and Cargo Services, Sean Shoe Store and Accessories, Your Lane Life Coaching, Bahama Odds and Ends Party Supplies, and Tylenol Cold and Flu, distributed by Lowe's Wholesale. Thank you to my producers, DZ and Odessa Francis. Thank you to my love smart. How do I get Jesus? I didn't even turn this out. Thank you to my first time listening audience, and thank you for my JUNKANOO committee and those in the shack, and of course special thank you to my in-house guests, Kishleen, Mrs. Ferguson, and Muffy, Christina. Thank you so much for being a part of culture. Thank you so much for taking the time out from your Sunday shack time to come here. And I am honored. No, I want y'all to know that I'm very much honored, because this is your time.
Debate.
All right, 15 days. Let me go ahead and finish the show. All right. Today was so enlightening. And it's so enlightening that what we're going to do at Dasa and DC, we're going to play it next week Sunday. So I just want to wrap up and say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to each of you. Season's greetings to all who I give glory and honor to God for allowing us to have this space, even to celebrate culture. Because this is where he lived.
Yes.
All right. This is where God lives.
Amen.
So we want to say thank you, and until next year, Lord's willing, I pray that you have a Merry Christmas and a happy and a prosperous New Year. I pray that you were all encouraged. I pray that you were all educated, and I pray that you were all empowered today on Your Lane Talk Show. So blessings to you, and see you next year, 2024, Lord's willing. Happy Sunday. Where my JUNKANOO?
Very nice. Very nice.
Let's go.
That time gone just like that.
Just like that. So we're going to be Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes, she could have the list. She's tired, and she gets the Starbucks.
Goodbye, Facebook audience. Oh, what was the question? What's the question? Exactly. going and keep it up. Keep Junkanoo alive. Yeah. Read it. Glitter from getting in your house. Oh, Jay.
You don't.
He's about to get put out because glitter is everywhere.
Oh,
How do you get the glitter out?
By December the following year, it should be gone.
All right, so we love Junkanoo. Bye-bye, Facebook audience. Blessings to you. Thank you. Excellent show. Priscilla, Jennifer, Dean. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. And bless you. Good win this year. Who in the morning? That's it. There ain't no competition, all right? It's the culture. Let's preserve our culture. Bye-bye.